Welcome to Finivize. You may have seen the viral video of an entire podcast section of Joe Rogan created using AI. Artificial intelligence chatbot ChatGPT created a 51-minute episode of the Joe Rogan Experience, with virtually impeccable representations of the podcast host's voice and OpenAI CEO Sam Altman's voice. The episode begins with the AI-generated Rogan welcoming the audience to the premiere episode of the Joe Rogan AI Experience, speaking in a way and tone almost impossible to differentiate from the real person.
I'm your host, Joe Rogan, or at least that's what this AI model thinks I sound like. Let me tell you folks, this is some next level stuff we've got going on here today.
Full Rogan continues.
Every single word of this podcast has been generated with the help of ChatGPT.
All through the podcast, Rogan and Altman's artificial voices covered several topics, including the need for ethics in AI, ChatGPT's potential impact on the entertainment industry, whether people should be concerned about fake AI content, etc. To a clueless listener, the discussion between the two fake voices may appear real. However, there are times when Rogan and Altman's syntax and speaking patterns appear to be unduly sophisticated or inhuman. For example, ChatGPT tried to imitate natural pauses in the human speech by using and to portray the process of genuine and staggered thoughts. However, the breaks were excessively repetitive and unnecessary at times. Likewise, whenever the fake Rogan asks a question, the AI-generated Altman repeats the question before answering it. Although it is a common practice among public speakers to reinstate that they understood the question, the repetition here after almost every question makes it awkward. Nobody talks like that. The YouTube channel that posted the AI-generated conversation also published another convincing fake conversation between Joe Rogan and former President Donald Trump. The 32-minute-long fake interview featuring the two controversial figures began with the disclaimer that AI generated all the words through ChatGPT. Despite not being their real voices, the content of the conversation accurately reflects their typical turns of phrases and topics of discussion. The episode began with Rogan asking,
How you doing, Mr. President?
Trump replied,
Joe, it's great to be here. I'm doing fantastic, just fantastic. The energy in this room is tremendous.
After discussing UFC, a sport that Rogan is heavily involved in, the AI-generated conversation transitioned to Donald Trump's ban from Twitter.
Twitter was a fantastic platform, the best, to connect with all my tremendous supporters and get my message out to the masses, the biggest masses you've ever seen. But since being banned, I've had to find alternative ways to communicate, and let me tell you, it's been a real eye-opener, believe me.
The fake Trump said. In another part of the episode, Trump talked about his future aspirations, as Rogan probed him on the specifics of his plans to make America great again.
Well, Joe, when it comes to specifics, nobody knows more about specifics than me.
Trump responded. Throughout the video, the AI incredibly displayed Trump's demeanor and frequent use of strong adjectives like massive, incredible, and brilliant with ease. Rogan's speech tone was also improved since the prior video. Fake Trump, on the other hand, lacks the powerful vocal inflections of his real-life version. The video instantly drew a slew of reactions on Twitter, capturing Rogan's attention, who replied, "This is going to get very slippery, kids." Others were taken aback by the footage and expressed concern about the potential of the rapidly expanding technology. "This is the single most terrifying thing I've ever seen," British author Joshua Vernon tweeted. "The possibilities of the malicious use of this technology will eat deep into every sector and dimension. It's as though we're holding the lid on Pandora's jar," he added. "It is indeed terrifying because the YouTube channel in question, named the Joe Rogan AI Experience, has over 10,000 subscribers and over 49 videos. The channel description reads, "This channel depicts fictional podcasts between Joe Rogan and guests he hasn't had on the show, with all content generated using AI language models. The ideas and opinions expressed in the podcast are not reflective of the thoughts of Joe Rogan or his guests. The content portrayed in this video is purely for entertainment purposes and should not be taken as a representation of the actual beliefs or attitudes of the individuals portrayed. The use of AI technology to generate this content is solely intended as an exploration of the capabilities of language models and should not be misconstrued as a genuine conversation between the individuals depicted. Any resemblance to actual events, individuals, or entities is purely coincidental. Viewers are encouraged to approach this content with a critical and discerning eye, and to understand that the views expressed in this video are not intended to reflect those of the individuals portrayed or of any affiliated organizations or entities," the description concluded. But the concern is, how many people would take the time to read the description? How many viewers would be patient enough to analyze and realize that Donald Trump never said all that was stated in the fake podcast before spreading the fake news? Former actuary and business software expert Richard Beauregard called the video mind-blowingly dangerous and predicted that in the next 10 years, no information will ever be believable again. What you'll see and hear will be fake, and no one will be able to tell. He added, AI-generated photos of Trump resisting and running from the NYPD circulated on Twitter in late March before his federal indictment. Last year, an AI-generated episode was released with a faux interview between Rogan and Steve Jobs. The man in question, Joe Rogan, an American UFC commentator, podcaster, comedian, and actor, recently warned about artificial intelligence. Deepfakes are widely used today, and they're here to stay. It's just like every other AI out there. Deepfakes are also used in Hollywood. Look no further than to the Star Wars empire, the de-aging in Marvel movies, or the late Paul Walker in Fast and Furious 7. And sooner or later, deepfakes might replace high-end CGI, which would save millions of dollars and countless hours of processing time in filmmaking. But then, deepfakes can be and are abused. Unfortunately, this form of technological misuse is not new. Deepfakes can portray a person engaging in illicit behaviors and uttering awful things that they actually never did or said. Even if the victim succeeds in trying to debunk the fake events through eyewitnesses or otherwise, it may be too late to undo the initial damage. Deepfakes are frighteningly simple to create. It's all about manipulating images, and image manipulation is not new. However, as the company powering the AI improves its features, won't the technology usher in a world of alternative facts where truth no longer exists? As this technology becomes widely available, widespread exploitation is inevitable. Starting with obvious examples. Check out this TikTok compilation about Tom Cruise. It is fake. Or this video of Barack Obama calling Trump a total and complete dipshit. It's also fake. The list goes on and on. In fact, there was once a meme in which Nicolas Cage became the fake leading actor of a series of different movies. Video compilation. Today, anyone can create deepfake content with any celebrity or prominent figure, but it's obvious we are not prepared for the consequences. There are several possible issues though with creating AI models based on famous people. Legally, celebrities have a right of publicity which prohibits unauthorized use of their name, photo, likeness, and voice. If you're doing it as a comedy or for educational purposes, you can get around this. In 2022, the Department of Homeland Security released a document highlighting the increased threat of deepfake identities on national security, which included instances of false videos featuring former President Barack Obama, Meta's Mark Zuckerberg, actor Tom Cruise, and others. Many of these videos have been viewed millions of times each. Deepfake images and artificially created content have made headlines recently, with many warning about the dangers of using someone's name and likeness to create a false reality. The creation of such content has drastically skyrocketed in recent months as AI models improve. As our technology keeps evolving, in addition to fake emails, fake Amazon reviews, and fake bot conversations, we've got to deal with deepfakes. You know, there was a time when email suddenly made it possible to communicate with large numbers of strangers for free. It immediately led to the problem of unsolicited commercial email, known as spam. When computers could communicate openly through networks, it spawned viruses and Trojan horses. And now that we live in a society of social media channels and unsolicited information, the entire world has been swamped with false or even misleading information. Social media spam is the new norm. Once the AI figures out how to model cadences, inflection timing, and natural tempo shifts, it will be nearly impossible to tell the difference between a fake and a real person. Undoubtedly, every technological advancement has an advantage, but in this case, we are yet to see how the possible gain outweighs the negative impacts in the near future. We are entering an era where it's possible to make anyone say anything and then later claim plausible deniability. The most frightening part is that police and citizen contact footage will be difficult to use as legal evidence in the future. When audio and video are no longer acceptable types of verification, things get really slippery, as Joe rightly said. In a world where people get slandered, set up, canceled out of context, and misconstrued, it's only going to get worse. Yet, we are still in the infancy stage of this technology. Imagine what the world will look like in 25 years. It's going to be very different. If at all feasible, copyright regulation has a lot of work on its hands. This is quite frustrating. But on the bright side, the way to deal with this threat remains the same: regulation and educating the public. Enjoy the video? Now watch this one.